All right, so here we are the next day in the hostel. So it's September 26th now, and I woke up like maybe 2 hours ago. Kind of had a slow morning, just taking it easy because I was trying to figure out where I'm actually gonna stay in terms of the hostel situation, like in the next few days. But it's amazing. I heard like this stream. Oh yeah, that's right there. When I came here to lock my bike in the middle of the night, but I couldn't see it, of course. But now you can see it's really cool. There's just this stream right here by the hostel. One thing though that's pretty sketchy is like the lady was like, yeah, when you go out to lock your bike, make sure you're careful because there was a bear here last week. So lucky there's no bears when I came. And the last thing is that somewhere behind me there's a train track, like maybe only like 10 or 20 meters away. And multiple times in the middle of the night, you heard these massive, like the train horn. Because I guess it was passing through and it needs to, I actually don't know why it makes noise, maybe to scare away animals. But that means that I didn't like sleep 8 hours continuously, but instead I slept like 10 hours, slightly interrupted, but it was actually still really nice sleep anyways. And yeah, I'm just gonna grab my bike. Luckily it wasn't stolen, but I'm not surprised because we're kind of in the middle of nowhere. And yeah, it's kind of in a hidden location. So that's good. Still have my bike. And yeah, today it looks like I'm gonna head north on the Icefields Parkway towards Jasper, but not all the way to Jasper. That's the plan. And yeah, I was originally going to go to Golden, BC, but unfortunately the hostels there are full. So we'll have to try to get there on the way back. And also, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, I met some people from Germany in the hostel today that went to the same city I did when I was there for a research experience in Dresden, and even the same university. So that was really cool coincidence, and I'm happy that I spoke with them. So just a lesson to all of you is to speak with the people in your hostels because you never know what you could have in common. Okay guys, so yeah, it's 10:17 a.m. now, and I decided to go to Beauty Creek, which is in the direction of Jasper. And I just stopped here at this internment camp monument. So you can see there is the statue of the prisoner, of course. And this internment camp was from the First World War in Banff. And they were essentially building a road to Lake Louise, if I'm not mistaken, which at the time was called the Banff Lagoon, if I'm not mistaken. The Banff Lagoon Road. But now it's called Lake Louise Road, I guess. But I don't know if it still exists. Maybe it's this road here that I'm taking right now that's been repaved many times. And this was from the First World War, I think I said that already, which was therefore Austrian and German prisoners who themselves had nothing to do with the war. But as there's a newspaper clipping here, it says, even if they're harmless, we still need to imprison them. Essentially, that's what it says. So there you have it. And yeah, let's keep on going. All right, so it's now been an hour. You can see I'm passing underneath this really big thank you sign because I'm about to go on the Icefields Parkway, which leads me to Lake Louise. And there's a big downhill here, which is nice coming up. And what else was I gonna say? Oh yeah, I saw a moose on the road, like maybe 400 meters in front of me. But the problem was that, well, by the time I got to where it was gone. And also, it's not easy. You can see that's the Bow Valley Parkway sign. It's not easy to take out my camera when I'm riding, or it's just not safe. So now I'm doing this downhill, so I gotta go, but this is my update. We're close to Lake Louise. All right, what's up guys? It's now 11:52 and I'm in Lake Louise Community Center, I guess. And essentially, they have no Wi-Fi here, which sucks. So I was gonna check some things with Wi-Fi while I was here, but I can't. And there's 146 kilometers until the hostel, which I'm going to tonight, which means that I'm not gonna go to Lake Louise, essentially. I'm instead going to go straight to the hostel because I don't wanna cut it too short with the nighttime because essentially I have 7 hours until it starts to set, the sun starts to slowly set. And 7 hours means that I have to be going like around like 21 kilometers an hour to get there. So already I don't wanna get less time by going up to Lake Louise 5 kilometers and then down. And then I obviously would like to spend some time there to look around, so I'll probably go to Lake Louise on my way back. And yeah, at least I got some water here. But 1-star review for this visitor center because they literally have no Wi-Fi. Guys, we fucking made it. I don't even remember where the last update was. I don't remember anything. All I know is that it's 7:43, 1943. I had the craziest, most terrible, honestly terrible, but like the end was amazing, but it's still terrible. The only way I can use this describe was terrible trip here. It's still right outside, so like it wasn't even dangerous, but like I had the most insane climb of my life. It must have been 1,000 meters of elevation gain. It was so fucking brutal. It was disgusting. I didn't want to think about it. And then coming down here was like insane tailwind downhill, like easy 40 kilometers coasting, like the two extremes, and it was just like not enjoyable at all. And I'm so cold. Like look at my dexterity. This is the fastest that I can move my fingers. Literally, I'm not joking. This is the fastest I can move my fingers. Like, I don't know how to prove this to you, that I'm not doing this to be like faking it, but literally. And my feet are frozen. My feet. Can you see my feet? They're frozen. I'm also wearing shorts, which is stupid, but I didn't have any room for pants, so I didn't think I needed pants. Anyways, I'm like honestly in shock right now. The only thing I can the only way I can, yeah, that's how I can describe how I'm feeling. This is like the actual hostel. So it's called Beauty Creek. There's some houses there, so it smells like shit right now actually here, where I am. And just gonna try to, I actually just heard a fire, so if there's a fire, I'm gonna jump in the fire if there's one. So I'm gonna give you guys more condensed thoughts and more reflected thoughts as soon as I can, and explain like the terrible trip that I had in more detail. Or for the time being, I'm gonna get checked in. Okay, so as I did not actually do a post-mortem of probably the hardest day of the trip, even though kind of every day was hard, I'm going to do that now. And I'm from the comfort of my home in this really dry hoodie, and it's so nice to be back. But anyways, overall stats for the day where, yeah, I described everything as terrible was 180K, and more importantly, 2,272 meters of elevation. I was looking at like the Tour de France, and like some of their stages, like the worst ones have 4.4 kilometers of elevation, so literally double what I did. But of course, for me, this still felt like hell. I was happy. I just realized I maintained a average speed above 20 kilometers, which I can't complain about. And then max speed was 80 kilometers. And you'll see that those two speeds would have been attained like here and here, and these two, like this descent was actually crazy. It's called the Bow Lake descent, but the climb wasn't actually a kilometer, which I said in the moment, of course, since I felt like crap. I think from start to end, it was 509 meters, and that's the Big Bend climb right here. So it's called the Big Bend. Why? Because, well, here's the map of what I did, right? I started from Castle Mountain, and then I went all the way to Beauty Creek, which was the hostel that I was staying at. And there's this big bend here, and that's why it's called the Big Bend, because you do this big bend, and then it climbs. So actually, if I show this, oh, this is awesome. So I guess you already start climbing here a bit, but then once you're in the Big Bend, you got like 1,600 meters, and then you go all the way to essentially 2,100. So 1,600 to 2,100 is 500 meters, 509. And I guess the steepest grade you get is like 11%. And I was looking at the Tour de France, they have like 17% grades at some places, which I just find incredible. Like, it really puts things into perspective. But yeah, 509 meters. It's a class 2 climb. So you can see here there's like the classing in Strava, which I think is really cool. And essentially, the higher the class, the worse or like harder it is. And the class 2, I think, is the second highest one, of course, since class 1. And what else was I going to say? Oh, yeah. So regarding the wind, so I essentially had like, a really crazy headwind for most of the ride. Or I would say like most of the climb, like after this section. But then I arrived at the Columbia ice field, which you can see is right here. And if I'm not mistaken, it was this bend right here. This bend right here. Yeah, it was. I can still remember the changing wind as I went across here. So the wind must have been going at like 60 or 70 kilometers an hour. And it was a crosswind. And I've literally never experienced this where I was essentially like turning into the ditch so that I wouldn't get blown off the road. Like I had to go literally against the wind because it was a crosswind through here. But then as I made it through this curve, like let's look at the elevation too, to see how it was. Not only as I made it, like you can see here, I reached the summit around here. I'm curious what this green border is. It must be a elevation line because that's where the elevation is highest. As I reached 2,100 meters, actually for quite a bit of the initial descent, I had the headwind or like the crosswind. So I was not even descending, or I wasn't at descending speed. But then, as I said, just as I made it around this corner where the Columbia Icefield Glacier is, I got both a descent and a tailwind. And I think I can view my average speed somewhere. Let's check. Is it possible? It must. Oh, this sucks. Yeah, I don't see where it would be. It's usually displayed on the iPhone app, but this one only is showing me elevation. That sucks. Well, I think it's safe to say I was around 30 kilometers. So yeah, I would say 30 kilometer average speed for 16 minutes. I said 40 kilometers. Like some parts of it were definitely at 40 kilometers, especially this section where I was essentially braking the whole time because it was, look at that descent. But yeah, the end was crazy because it was tailwind and descent. And then, yeah, like all around here, man, I was suffering for a while. And yeah, this descent also, it's called Bow Lake. I guess it's, really 2,077 meters. That was pretty crazy. And I didn't really mention traffic in many of the clips that I made, but especially in the parkway, it's nice because you have a wide shoulder and less traffic, of course, than a highway. And it was in late September. So if you go July, August, there will be a lot of traffic on the highway. So that is worth considering. But then, of course, you have the shit weather. So I think like mid-September would be the most ideal time when the weather is still nice and people are back at work, so there's less cars. And I only had one bad experience where this one trucker who has those stupid black smoke diesel things where if you floor it, it like shoots out black smoke. He literally like went beside me and then floored the gas and to like freaking blow his black smoke all over me, but it did not faze me. I just went like this and I continued on. So yeah, it was a good route, but you can see here I got a lot of PRs, 2,272 meters and 509 meters climbing, and yeah, 10 meters elapsed with 8 hours and 45 minutes on the bike. And I didn't mention this in any of the other previous videos, but I had no cycling shorts, so a lot of ass pain, as I mentioned before. So definitely I would invest in cycling shorts the next time around. But yeah, that was all for this update.